everybody's in different spots all across.
Oh yeah, we're rolling. Hit it! So fucking typical, I don't know what to do. I'm on the scotch and I'm feeling kind of woo. Think you're scary, but I don't know what to do. Got nudge your boo, got nudge your boo, coo coo choo. Hey! So fucking typical, I don't know what to do. I'm on the scotch and I'm feeling kind of woo. Think you're scary, but I don't know what to do. Got nudge your boo, got nudge your boo, coo coo choo. Hey!
And you were saying about the lawn?
Yeah, just being crewed up, man. That's the way to go for me. I like everybody throws their shoes in the center. Everybody's together. You don't get to do that too often because, especially these days, man, trying to get tickets, trying to get people in the same even section or a couple rows away.
Unless
It
you
ain't
get
like
the
that.
floors in an indoor venue, then
Right.
you can work
Right,
that.
which is hard to get that many floors though for a crew, and it's more crowded.
Exactly.
I thought that same thing at MSG. Like I love that venue, but this past April run, we went with the same crew that we did the summer tour with, like last year, and it was an entirely different experience. And it was the first time I had a larger crew, but having all over the venue and not being able to spend the show together makes a big difference.
Yeah,
I think.
it kind of sucks because you know we had conversations about this already this year, which was on our show, which was you know the pit situation and just like you know there's people I think that just want to be down there because they feel like it's theirs, and then there's like the space issue. I used to like it when MSG had the East and West because it kind of separated them, and like if you had our crew all had, you know, West was I think was the front, and then like it was great because there was room, like, and it wasn't like all packed to the front. And I remember I think it was 2012 New Year's run. I think, man, we were in front of Page, and it wasn't like rail riding. It was kind of chill. Now it seems like everything is just like flip the switch.
Right. For years they stopped doing. They had floors on the seats back in the 90s.
Right.
Remember? Because I guess the people got trampled at the Who show, things like that. Then the insurance, they had started allowing the floors again. And yeah, when I'm on the floor
now,
when I'm on the floor, I want to stand in front of the soundboard because you know that's where it sounds best.
Yeah.
That's
well, you know,
that's
where when we were on the floor for a couple of the nights of the April MSG run, and I'm definitely not a front rail rider, but I will absolutely go and post up on the very back rail on either side of the soundboard. And, you know, there's a spot if you need to like tie your jacket up or whatever, put your drink down, people can sit. But even that becomes a little bit of like a territorial issue when you have, you know, people that are constantly backing up into you. And there's like, look, man, there's no more backing up here.
I can't go any further.
I can't go any further. So I like that very much. But you know, like I said before we were live, I'm a lawn boy, man. Give me my crew, give me next to Skinny and my wife and his wife and all of our friends. We're so excited for Merriweather because there are, you know, all of these people that don't get to go to that many shows. So when the band comes to town, it's an absolute blowout for the people that we've been seeing shows with for the last 20 years.
I'm going to bring it up. Yeah, I was going to interrupt for a second. You guys are watching the lot. Not you guys. Well, you are too, but the people out there on YouTube. We forgot to do the intro. So welcome. This is the lot. This is Skinny and JW. They are two of our guests from the Stubby Down podcast. And we actually have our other guests here, Miss Leslie Mack, the one and only.
What's up, Leslie?
Hi, Leslie.
How's it going?
I'm okay. Glad to be with you.
So, Leslie, we were just discussing where we prefer to watch a show, and or if there even is a preference. I threw out some examples, actually, I think in the green room even before we got started. This is a very organic start, but like the pit, the lawn, the pavilion? I guess it depends. We have to almost split it arena versus shed, but so we just starting that conversation.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think even venue to venue, it changes for me even
Yeah.
sometimes. Um, I'm short or, vertically challenged, as they say. So I'm a big proponent. If there are seats to be had, I try to get front row wherever I'm going to be positioned just so that I can actually see. And also, frankly, anybody behind me is able to see too, even when I'm standing. So that's one thing that I definitely take into account. And during the New Year's Eve run in April, I had all night, every night we had a front seat, but all around the arena. It was really fun. So that's one thing. When we're outdoors, I don't know. I try to be as far back as possible. One, because I really love just, CK5's lights and I like to be able to interact with them. I also feel like that's where you can get the most personal space. So
Yes,
And
absolutely.
that's
that's
a
where I,
huge
I
part
kind
of
of
it.
like trend that direction just to be like, oh, people won't mind back here if I
That's
take up a few extra seats on either side of myself. They don't have a problem with my bag being there and that sort
right.
of thing. Yeah.
That's what I like because I'm a taller dude and I kind of dance like the funky chicken, and so I get really.
I've seen you at shows.
I
I'm that,
guarantee you have.
yeah, I am that guy with all the like movement. And I feel bad, like you have to stay in this like compartmentalized Jetson space to
Yep.
like. I mean, I can't do a keto, so I've learned to like the lawn a lot more, especially in the last 10 years, I think. And
I
like,
love people watching. So I want to be on the
Yeah.
lawn and I can
Sometimes
just sit
that's it
there and
too,
check
yeah.
people out. And then when the show starts, you have everyone in front of you, and it usually sounds good because they have outdoor speakers.
Yep.
The only
You know?
downside to that, though, is I agree with you, and I know exactly where you're going with. But sometimes, if the energy of the set is not high, especially on like when it's the first set and it's light out, you got a lot more chomping and talking.
Yeah.
Right back
That's
there, and
happy
you're-
hour. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
like that's where the people that just came in last minute and maybe don't give as much of a fuck are too, right? So
I do tend to
Yeah.
scope that out before I pick the spot. I'll be looking,
Well,
okay,
that's
which
smart.
groups
Hey, there's
I
Brad
try
and
to
Chad
go
over there. I'm
where
not
there's
sitting-
some folks that seem like they came together. They're real focused on, being there. So there's a
That's
little
smart.
bit of like, recon that I'll do also before fully like choosing a spot for sure.
You
I
know
like
what?
good landmarks
good.
too, because finding your way back if you have to go get a beer or something. So like I do like to like find my like number or your pole, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, if you're in the lawn, is key to get your landmarks.
Tim,
And I
I
like
started
to be
wearing.
able to see the spinning guy. That's my other thing. Like
Oh,
I want
He'll
him
be
in
around.
view at all times. So that's another factor to my
I followed
seating
him around at
choices.
Dick's one year. I walked around the whole venue last year at Dick's to try to find out what he was because I had never heard of him. And I was like, what is that?
Just a
And I
guy
just-
that spins with a dope
It's the
gig.
guy. You know what? I met him at Cuyahoga Falls at Blossom in 2015. Me and my wife, it was my wife's birthday. She always gets a birthday show. Shout out to you, babe. She's getting another birthday show Sunday night in Atlantic City. But
Aw.
we parked right next to this guy, and he gets out of his car and he starts putting on this outfit that everybody sees him with the lights, and I've got a great picture with him. Super kind person, and
Staple of the community now
he-
too. Everybody knows the
everybody
spinning guy.
knows him.
Yep.
And
It's cool when you see
know
him
what?
from a
You
distance.
You see him. Yeah, where were we? I
What
think
is
he was
that?
up on the Sky Bridge. I
Yeah,
think at the
at the
Garden.
Chase
and-
Bridge,
and,
Yes, he
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Was,
He was
yep.
sitting right behind us. Yeah,
you're down on the
yeah.
floor and you look up and you see it's a little bit reassuring, honestly. That guy made it. I do. I love
He's
him.
still here. He's out here. The spinning's occurring and things
That's
are right
right.
with the world.
That's
It's
right.
true.
No
It's
doubt.
true.
It's impressive that he doesn't get sick or dizzy or fall over. I mean, that's a long time to spin.
Yeah. He
And
drinks
I-
a lot of water. I always see him carrying
He
around
drinks
like
a lot of
gallon
water. He
jug,
checks
too,
his
so-
phone in the midst of spinning. It's very impressive.
It's like a figure skater style, man. I always wondered how they do that. Maybe he's got it wired,
Yeah, the
It's-
locking in or whatever.
It's a harkening
yeah.
back to the old spinners at Dead shows.
Yeah.
Except they didn't have
Yeah.
cell phones then.
The thing about MPP that I'm really excited for is like the way that they've remodeled the place with the sight line. So that's another reason, like, to stand in the back
Yeah.
of the lawn there because you
And
can
they have the
see
raised
everything.
lawn. Have you been up on the raised lawn?
I haven't, but it's really cool. I just don't like to wait in line for anything.
We were there actually. We went up to that. randomly ended up at the Robert Plant Alison Krauss show. I guess it was probably about a month ago now. We like scooped the tickets on a lark, and the weather was nice. It wasn't packed, and we like walked up. There was no line. We grabbed a spot right on the rail. That is an amazing view to watch a show. Now, I'm sure for Phish or for, something that's going to be a little bit more of a raucous
Jimmy
crowd.
Buffett or
Mhm.
something,
Yeah,
right?
it's going to be
Yeah.
a little bit more, but I mean, they have like a little hill there. I mean, it's a really nice, I think, addition to the venue. And the one thing that I like about those changes that I was most concerned about was what was the sound going to be like on the back of the lawn.
Right.
And it still is pretty quality. So, hopefully we don't get any rain and they don't have the flood situation like they had.
If anything, it's late Sunday, is what my meteorologist friend in Canada said.
Yeah.
The weather looks pretty good, man. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about
Good to have
that's the
meteorologists
European model.
Yes, it's the European model.
that Doppler. You got Doppler.
Is it
over
weird?
there?
Is it weird for you guys? I just realized this while we were talking, that everyone in this room right now kind of does this on a regular basis, right? Like
Yes.
with Stub Me Down and Wook Plus and Blackberry Jams. So is it weird to like have this pseudo guest host? Because it's like this isn't really like a traditional setup to have 5 podcast hosts. It's kind of a neat experiment.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm worried about either interrupting all the time.
But that's what we do. That's part of the charm of the
That's all
program. Is
Yeah,
He interrupts me all the time. Though,
Right.
So.
Yeah, because he doesn't know what he's talking about or something.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
usually.
no. I have the better memory out of the two of us. But
No
I mean,
doubt.
it's kind of weird, I guess. But I mean, we like talking, obviously. So, to be on this, I think for me, it's just like a lot of gratitude. That's kind of where that's been our pocket. So this kind of
how
stuff,
long has Stub Me Down been going?
since the quarantine, I don't
Pandemic,
like saying
yeah.
pandemic, whatever, 2020. I'll put a year on it because I'm so tired of talking about it that way.
Right.
But we were kind of bored and didn't really know what to do. But we always talk with not only each other as friends, but our other friends and that have mutual interests, not only in this band, but we've been seeing shows for so long. And it was like, let's try to put this down. And Josh kind of figured out the mechanics of it first, and then so. This is
We're
season
off.
3. Yeah, we're off. And this season has been a real amazing ride. I didn't realize how many people were going to start listening to the show. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like for us, it's like, it's modest, right? We're an independent podcast. We're a couple of high
Dudes.
school teachers, that just love music and needed very badly something to occupy
do.
our time during a year of
Welcome
being
to Wook
locked
Plus.
down. Yeah, right. Right. And
I have
you know
no
what?
idea what you're talking about.
Right. Same with like Brian Weinstein
familiar?
and attendance bias.
Right.
We this was not an original idea that we had, but the thing was that Skinny and I have seen so many shows together, and sometimes they get lost in the wash, they get lost in history. They get lost in a CD book that is, my wife keeps trying to throw away every spring cleaning. No, she will never, but she threatens it. And to be able to, and I had this poster right behind me is full of Phish ticket stubs. And my wife gave it to me for my 100th show. So I filled it during the quarantine, during pandemic, with a bunch of stubs. And I texted him some pictures and I was like, what if we just randomly chose shows that we've been to and talked about them? And he was like, that might be it. And so we kind of planned it out a little bit. We had
Are you going to run out anytime soon? Or I guess if you keep adding shows each year, you'll have
well, what we're going to run out
There's
of
so many
eventually
shows,
is
there's
ticket
2,000
stubs.
Yeah, that's the issue. We just talked about that too, which is like I get it, I want to be preserving nature and save the trees, but then I'm just like that.
I miss my stubs.
Yeah,
Is that really what it's for, though? I'm skeptical.
I know.
I'm
It's
gonna be
not, I
honest
know.
with
I
you.
agree.
I don't
Leslie,
think. I think they're just trying to
Save a buck.
Yeah,
save
they're
a
trying
buck.
to save a buck and streamline.
And charge you
everything.
$6 convenience fee to have it on your phone.
Yes.
Well, you know what? They are also, if you really want a stub that badly, you can buy the commemorative stubs through
Oh man, they're gonna get more of my money.
So now-
if you walk up at Will Call, they will print them out for you at Will Call.
Is that
The
right?
day of the show.
I did not
Did
know
not
that.
know that. That's good
That's
to
what they
know.
did at Bethel. And when I went to Philly to see Dead and Company, I got put on the Will Call list, and they gave me a physical ticket. I had some woman was like, "Can I have that?" And I was like, "Sure, lady."
Aw. That's
Look
so
at you.
nice, though.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think as far as like running out of shows between the two of us, we've seen close to 300 Phish shows, and not all of them have been together. So there's a good batch, that we've seen together, and then separately. We also, when Phish was on hiatus, and then during the breakup, we were seeing Phil Lesh and Friends when it was Jimmy Herring and Warren Haynes, and we were seeing them.
Government Mule.
Yeah, we were seeing a lot of Government Mule,
I
the
saw
Allman
so much
Brothers.
Humphreys during that time too.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
there
saw
you
a
go.
couple of those shows. So there's a lot. And then one of the things that I think we really tried to expand upon in the last year or two is bringing in other people to stub us down, quote unquote,
Right.
and have them talk about shows that they've been to. And, like we had Carl Gearhard from the Giant Country Horns come on, and he talked about Hampton 98, Hampton Comes Alive, and coming out and playing the encore, and they did Tub Thumping, and
Yeah,
and he came out,
right?
yeah, and he,
Chumbawamba.
and he did the trumpet solo, and so we're starting to get other people to tell some stories, and that's been so much
Right.
fun too, because the whole thing is like, what is it about live music that we start podcasts about and spend money and time and treasure and, all of it's all consuming. And what is it for, for everybody, it's different, and so hearing what got somebody in or what made them feel so awesome about seeing a show. I mean, there's no end to those stories.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely a very cool premise. I'm gonna. Well, actually, Leslie, do you have any announcements on future? I know you.
Yeah, I was going to say, Leslie,
didn't
didn't you come up? Wait, didn't you come
And
up
if
with?
not, I'm going to bring it back to Phish. So don't.
Didn't
feel
you come
pressured,
up with like the whole idea, you and Lenny, with quarantine? Aren't you a quarantine story with the Black?
We are kind of a quarantine story in that things kind of got moving, especially with Ben and Jerry's during quarantine. But we just were talking about just talking about wanting to talk about Phish, wanting to talk about our love of Phish. And one thing that you just reminded me of, JW, was this thing that we all have in common, which is that we really treasure our experiences. Folks that are so committed to seeing live music, supporting live music. And that's, to me, the common thread. When you said it, was it weird being on, with all of these podcasters? I'm like, it's not, because we have this common, value proposition that we really highly regard live music, and that we're willing to spend time, we're willing to spend our effort, we're willing to spend a lot of money to go and see and have these experiences.
It's a business expense.
Everything's a write-off. Everything's a write-off.
You know what? That's
Skinny,
Seinfeld, man. I don't
skinny,
know.
Let's talk to our accountant about that, right?
Hey, if you can make money, if you make money, it's a business, right?
As soon as I talk about it on air. Speaking of which, I went to see Tab at Red Rocks. Just kidding. I did go see Tab at Red Rocks, but I'm just getting that check mark off the list right now. Yeah.
So
Kevin, do you know what writing it off is?
No, don't feed into this, Skinny.
All right. Sorry.
All right, we'll talk later. Yeah, I think
I have to hear this shit every day. You can write those tickets off. Okay, it's fine. I bought them like 6 months ago.
I read a blog page about it, so I'm an expert. Let me just say that.
That's awesome.
He did his own research.
That's right.
Yes, I did.
That's right.
By the way, Kev, that is the next button. I read a blog. I'm an expert. Oh man, that sums it up. All right, so we've had a lot of new Phish, which is awesome. Have you guys been keeping up with the tour so far? What are your thoughts? Let's go around the horn. I like that format when you have this many people. Let's start counterclockwise this time. So I'll go Leslie, Skinny, and up and around.
Yeah, I've been following the tour, been listening to all the chatter, have not gotten to a show this tour. The last show I was at was New Year's Eve shows. One thing I've noted, people really like to complain. It's like an epidemic out here. Like I've never seen it be this intense of complaining. I'm like, what do y'all even like Phish? I have questions. But yeah, we're like, hi everybody, stop complaining. So yeah, I've been following. One of the things that I've just noted, it just seems like they're having a good time. It seems like they're really enjoying themselves. It seems like they're doing what they want to do. It seems like they're enjoying the time together this summer. And
except for Mike, everybody else is thrilled, having a blast, and Mike's just so fucking serious.
Isn't he always
focused?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him
there.
I've only seen him smiling like his Instagram videos.
Yeah.
Or Mike Gordon
with his cat. When he's with his cat, he's happy.
Or sneakers. No, it's just how he is. I mean, different people are different, but I agree. They do seem to be having a blast right now. They're really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. But it makes me feel like, I don't know. I feel like something's coming to an end, and I don't like to say it out
I was
loud
just going to say that. It's like they've been freed. Right. They've been freed.
That's how it feels.
We have a goalpost. We know in 3 years this is done. So fuck it. Let's just let it all
go. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. But I've been following, and y'all need to just stop complaining. Can you just go and enjoy the goddamn shows? Seriously.
Leslie, amen.
I'm with you, Leslie.
Amen.
It's
Amen
enough.
to that.
It's enough already.
Yeah, because I mean, complaints, it's just like, what do you, I mean, listen, I definitely complain on our show, but I do it like way after the fact, and it's on like re-listen. And there are certain things that we talk about all the time that just don't do it for you. Like one of my pet peeves, and I've seen it a lot, believe it or not, and I know people are chasing it, is like a mound. But I don't complain about it like openly and say like, oh, I can't. I just, we'll talk about it like, yeah, we don't have to talk about that song. But
you don't like mound?
I just, you know what it is?
Here we go.
All right. Tim, it's the
what the hell?
I know, I'm sorry. It's the offbeat clap.
Wow.
I feel like it's
I love that part. Yeah, no, but everybody likes different shit.
Right, exactly.
But that's the point. That's when you get to go to the bathroom. Like that's I always say that. Like somebody's least favorite is your most favorite. And like
I like to tweet when I don't like a song. So a lot of people like Joy or something.
Exactly.
I turn it into a positive.
I do like Mounds, the candy bar. You know what I mean? Like, I like
Mounds.
Man, that's coconut. If you don't like coconut, then maybe that's what the T-shirt is.
Leslie, what's your guilty song that you don't like?
Do I have a guilty song?
Or but
that I'm like
guilty displeasure.
I always get in trouble, but my friend, I'm always just like, you know what it is? I might have just heard it too much. It's not that I don't like it. It's just like, okay, they're playing it again. Like that's more of the vibe. I don't have anything that I absolutely like can't stand.
That you cringe at.
That I'm like, ugh, why are they playing this? I am a very big proponent of whatever the boys have decided to put before me is what I'm supposed to see that night. That's how I go into every show.
Hot take.
It's how I'm always ready to like be, I just am open. They're the experts. I just paid for a ticket. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a healthy attitude.
That's how I go into most shows. So there isn't anything that I'm always just like, oh, please don't play that again. But yeah, there's some songs that I'm like, okay, I've heard it enough. Like, do I need to hear Backward Down the Number Line again? Probably not. Probably not. But also, I'll live or I'll go to the bar.
Only out of Caspian. No problem. Only if it's out of Caspian.
Well, I can tell you too, like I've been lately going into shows with absolutely no expectations. I mean, we used to talk in the lot or whatever, and we would pick 10 back in the day, and everybody would write their 10 picks, and you got 2 if you called like an open or a close or an encore, and you got 1 for each song, and we would play against each other. And I stopped doing that only because I'm like, I don't do it with any expectation, then I'm gonna have a letdown. So I stopped doing that. And listening back to a lot of this stuff, the one thing that made my jaw drop is when they released the Split Open and Melt from this tour. Where was that? Was that the Man?
The Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the man.
And
I
I listened.
right?
So
Yeah,
dark.
I listened to that today, and that jam out of there is literally jaw dropping. And
So good.
and I haven't seen them since MSG, and I'm chomping at the bit. I'm literally counting minutes that I hope. Listen, if they play a couple of things and there's some people like listing stuff that they hate, you know what I mean? And if they play,
It's funny to hear what people hate, though.
Yeah, I know. Like, right, it is funny. Like, I heard the Breath and Burning the other night was like amazing, and I'm
it
like,
was very good. Well,
I don't like that,
Skinny, that's the thing I was going to say about expectations is I know people are like, oh, I want to catch this, or when they play it the night before, you seem like, oh, that's off the table. But honestly, nowadays, it doesn't really matter, because I would have never said like A Wave of Hope or what was the other one, like Leaves that they just jammed out. What was that? Last night they jammed out
Last
Leaves?
night, yeah.
And I Never Needed You Like This Before. And then,
first two
Wave of
songs
Hope and the
last
song I
night,
Heard the Ocean. Like, none of these songs were ever, oh, I want to catch that, but they were the highlights of the shows. So as long as they're playing well and jamming well.
For the
Yeah, and
record, I was talking A Wave of Hope before tour that was the one I wanted to see, and I wanted to see it 25 minutes, and I was not there that night.
They've taken it out there a little bit, I think, in
Deer Creek.
But right, exactly. Here's the way I kind of look at this tour so far. First of all, I only have 2 songs that I do not like. One is probably one that most people will, a lot of people also make noise. I do not like Character Zero. I do not like Character Zero.
Oh, the Arena Rock Anthem.
I do
He
not.
did like the character tweezer though at MSG.
I did like the character tweezer at MSG, but they put a tweezer in the Character Zero, so I had to like it.
I bet you loved that Farmhouse number line 0 to end the Hartford show.
Here's
You're like, yes, I love this band.
I do not have a problem with Numberline. For this purpose, I have there's a friend of ours that's kind of a song that we have a little bit of meaning to. So I don't mind that. Farmhouse is Farmhouse. Character Zero, obviously, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
I stand up
when we were at, where was it that they played 2001, and then they added a Character Zero to the end of that show. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You don't need to do that. That was just that was at Man One. Like, they played a great second set. That was the Tweezer Fest. Nice 2001. Ended with
that Zero was out
Oh,
the
of
big,
place.
and then you drop a zero. Like,
Because Trey wanted
dude,
to sing "I'm Waiting for the Man."
Yeah.
He wanted
but
to
they
say he
started
had
the
to do the song to get the lyric in.
yeah,
They started the show with the space theme. Then they went into a Tweezer Fest. 2001 was literally the final chapter of the book.
It,
like, that's
it
what
wrapped
the book
it up
needed to
very
finish.
nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, Character Zero. It's like, God
Then he's like
damn it,
Character
Trey.
Zero. So that's one. The other song is Horn. And I don't like Horn. It's about a stalker. I feel very like
Is it about
weird
a
about it. I mean,
It
like the
sounds
guy's
like-
rejected, but he's still outside this chick's house beeping. Like,
But
if
he
that's
says
my
I had
daughter
a whole
inside,
different
on it.
yeah, no, and I don't like.
I thought
don't
he
like-
lost somebody, like somebody died, and he was doing the same habit. Like, he picked her up every day, and then she was gone.
No, I
Like,
I
she
always
moved
thought
her
his
to
life just
differently.
sucked. He's like, yeah, I'll pick you up again
Yeah,
tonight.
like this chick dumped him. I don't want you. She hung all the nasty flyers, and
Oh,
he's
yeah, you're
like
totally
still pining.
right. I'm an
He's
idiot.
still pining for this girl, and he's
Stop
like,
ruining my world.
right. He's now,
I don't listen
I'm
to
like,
lyrics that much. I'm way more listening.
Well,
to the,
and
I'm a
You know
lyrics
what,
guy. You're
Tim,
killing me
that's a
with-
perfect segue into my comment about this tour. Is the complaints that Leslie mentioned, largely surrounds the new songs, right? It's they took a Wave of Hope out there. Well, nobody likes the name Wave of Hope. They would rather hear about multi beasts and Lizardland, but talking about, trying to develop a sense of hope during, what's been a pretty rough time for people, that's a little bit over the line. Now, here's what I say about that. All those people have to do is be patient for 4 minutes and then listen to the next 19 or 25 minutes of them blowing your mind. It doesn't matter what words they sing. I mean, yeah, everybody's got the songs that they like, but at this point, anything is a vehicle, and people should have learned that after they fucking played Lawn Boy for 30 minutes during the Baker's Dozen, So, to each their own, and I'll never shit on any, if you don't like something, that's fine. That is, it's your money. That's fine. My favorite show is the one I'm at. If they play a show that is, lacking or has a horn and a character 0 in it, yeah, that's fine. They play, those are there. It's like complaining about the weather, right?
Yeah.
It does no good. And at the end, you're still gonna, be unhappy if it rains. Well, then you're setting yourself up for failure every time. Like Skinny said, if you go in with no expectations, then you can really truly let go and enjoy what they're doing. I saw like online reaction last night, people like not happy with Leaves in the 2-hole of the second set last night.
That's amazing. A red card.
And Leaves is a good song. I like the lyrics. I like the vibe of it. The last couple times they didn't play it as tight, but last night they nailed it and they took it out, and it had a couple of different layers, and it was great. Well, and
how about this? Last night I said on the show that they could have played I Never Needed You.
You're
like
gonna double down on this?
Yes, and you could have dropped the song Leaves out completely and picked the jam up from Leaves. It would mesh with the first song. It's like they did Leaves and then picked up the jam where it left off from before.
But don't you want to see that? That's the connective tissue of the set, right?
Yes.
From one.
That's exactly what it's
like.
And you know what
they do? That's special.
Right. And then they encored with Harry Hood, and there were still some elements of that in the Hood. I mean, that's what you want a show to be. I mean,
I wanted a 30
I'm sorry.
minute.
That's what I want a show to be.
But they could have played a 30-minute Never Needed You like this before.
Well, we've talked about that before on our show, is that sometimes the choices that they make you disagree with. And I think disagreeing and saying, man, I wish they would, like, I wish they were playing this, you know what I mean? So like, I wish, the wishing is all good. It's after they don't play what you wish for when sometimes I think the complaint starts. And I'm like,
right.
I'm not up there, man. I'm just a fan. So that's why I'm taking that back seat now, just to let everything kind of unfold. And a lot of times too, through our conversations, and I don't know if this has happened to you, Leslie, but like, or you guys too, is like listening to shows and trying to figure out like where their head's at is like a fun trip for me. Like, what is the theme here? You guys were just talking how they did a space theme. We talked about a Phil Lesh and Friends show where, kind of the themes are like jail, freedom, time, and Phil would tell us,
right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or like good relationships, most of the time, bad relationships, robbery, whatever. But like,
Right.
A little bit countryish on that side. But like how the story is told, I like how that unfolds, even if they played like a bunch of stuff that I didn't. I was like, I would, I'm still like, but I'm still trying to figure out like, where are they going here? Like, what are they going to try to figure out?
You're thinking about that at the show while the show's going on? That's like kind of one of the things that's going through your head, you think?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I'm trying to figure out like, and it's quite possible pretty much every time there isn't one, but
Right.
But it's fun to speculate.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. When I catch on to it, I'm like, yeah, man, I thought they were kind of going into that earlier. And you know what? They did in the second set. Like you can kind of maybe hear a tone or hear a change or a seg. And you're like, that sounded like they were, and so that's kind of what I'm looking for now. And believe me, man, we've talked about it with some of our guests. It's like, they're like, oh, people complain about Phish. I think it was Jake Jolivet was like, and I was like, dude, have you been on Twitter? Like,
Or anywhere,
you know what I
any
mean?
group, any
Right.
place,
It's
it's always complaining happening. Also, you guys, I just realized I totally lied. I completely forgot I went to both Charleston shows.
Oh,
Literally,
go.
I was like, oh,
I
I
was
haven't
there.
seen him since April. I'm like, no, that's not true.
That's
They
not
were
Actually,
right.
dripping. They were just
wow.
Talking about shows people complained about that I thought were pretty good.
Yeah, I there was so much complaining about those two shows. I'll say it was very hot, but other than that,
Yeah.
they were great shows for me. I had a lot of fun and the vibe was very good there. It was just strange because it was a tennis court and
Yeah, it was super short.
Yeah, it
saw
looked like a
it
weird
was a little bit
venue.
weird. It was just a weird venue because of that. And they definitely were not used to this crowd, but whatever. It was fine. But I do think it's a little bit like I liken it to like reading tea leaves, like after the fact, where you're like, okay, I experienced this thing. Now let me see what were they trying to do? What were they trying to say? I don't think about it too much during, but then after, as I'm like dissecting the set and going through the songs they played and like what popped, what didn't pop, that's when I start to be like, oh, I think they were trying to get us to think this way or feel this way more often. I'm always
you
talking
look
about
at the
auditory
you
to
see the
feel.
larger context. You
Yeah,
can
you
see the
kinda pull
forest
back,
because
yeah.
you're out of the forest. so to
Exactly,
speak.
exactly.
All right, so for this tour, I'm not going to complain, but let me say about Wave of Hope. It is the best of Trey's Tole rock lyrics that he's written. Everything's right, soul plan, etc., soul free, because it isn't everything's right. It's this too shall pass. It's not right now that it's passing, but it will pass, and there will be a wave of hope that will. You have to have the wave of hope in order for it to pass. And
This
I
is
think
Church of Trey. This is a Church of Trey tune, and
Oh
a
my
lot
God.
of the new tunes are Church of Trey.
Right.
Whether and it's
But I
things
love
will
that.
get better.
I love that
and
lyric. If you pull it up on Fishnet, everybody, and read the lyric, it's poetry.
After
It
the
doesn't
show.
even
I'll tell
rhyme.
people to leave the channel. Like, stop listening. Go look
Stop
this up.
now. Go search.
But as for this
Don't do
summer,
that.
isn't
I think
important.
Stay here.
I think that they've to go back to what Leslie said. I think that they had a band meeting and they gave it a 3 or 5 year limit, and they're just like, let's go out, and they're free. They're like, let's enjoy every second of this. Let's fucking take some Undermined or whatever song out for a ride. Or
They might not need a limit to do that, though. I feel
yeah,
like
you're going to start a controversy here that the band is quitting
what
in
I'm
3
paid to
years.
do.
bro.
I
That's what
don't
I'm
know.
paid to
I
do.
didn't
I
put
didn't
any
heard that
timeliness
yet.
on it, but I will say it's interesting. This is the first I noted in Charleston. I was like, oh, Mike's getting an encore.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting a standing ovation moment. Everybody's getting a moment of silence to actually like love on them. That feels super deliberate. It's never happened for me on tour before where every single band member
Both
like is
Page
all
tunes have already come out. I Get Around and Lawn Boy, both
but
of his
having-
cheesy.
having each of your personal experiences and perspectives adjusted from the last 2 years. Like, I don't think that it's like hey, we're done because of where we are in our career or whatever. I think it's more we lost everything in a snap of a finger and had no idea what was going to happen.
Manos is a bitch.
Right, the way,
And we're very happy to be here.
The way
Yeah,
they're
I'm happy.
playing is the way I'm watching now. Is like I'm cherishing this show because everything might get canceled. And
it
this
might get who knows what's
this
gonna
might be the
happen.
last show, So I
Mhm.
feel like maybe it's more of a generic, like societal type response that they're doing. I don't know.
I think
You
that's
know what?
true.
I have a really, I'm sorry, Leslie. I
No,
have a
go ahead.
really good story. Thank you. I have a really good story about that. In the garden, before Brent Midland died, which like the anniversary of his death was yesterday or whatever, and seeing him
Or
on
his
that
birthday, or
or his
something like that.
something
One of the
like
two,
that
yeah.
in 90, and like I think it was his death. But anyway, at the garden, he stood up during the wait, almost like stood up from the keys during his part and was like, I gotta go, but my friends can stick around. And
Got
I'll
that
never
guttural thing.
and I like there are moments I think, and to your point, Tim, like I think that there are moments that happen in music where you, as a fan, you see that and you're like, wait a minute, what's he talking about? Like, and that might be where you're kind of going, Kevin, with this. Like, I just remember the Gem Truck set where they had, we're going to be here, when we're 70. So I kind of feel like that's
only like not that
A few years.
No, I guess. Yeah.
Are you talking about me? Because it's not. I think about it all the time. I'm like, that's 18 years away, and like, I hope I make it. But like, I think that there's some musical feelings that we get caught up in as fans, which we've talked about on our show, like the negativity, the criticism, the feelings, like that have happened not only with this band, but the Grateful Dead and probably countless others. But I always feel like we get caught up in those, like we get caught up in our own feelings, which is fine because we're all individuals and that
That's
happens.
the only thing we have.
Right. And I'm with that, like the no expectations. And you know what? I can't wait to like do the chicken dance at Merriweather because it might be the last time I do it. Like, who knows? I don't know what the future holds. So
Can't
I
wait to
think
see you do the chicken dance.
Yeah,
I hope. Yeah. Dude, you'll be like
I'm
this guy.
seeking this out.
I'm not even going to interrupt it because I don't want to disturb your flow. I'm just going to walk by and nod and be like, yeah.
I hope I don't elbow
skinny.
you.
You can catch eyes with me because I'll be standing there.
I'll come over to you and we'll just, cheers beers and be
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
look at this guy dancing like a chicken.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I let it all hang out there.
You know what? But look, that's in all seriousness, that's one of the things. I mean, we've been friends for a really long time, but that's one of the things I absolutely love about this guy is that when he's at a show and he's in that moment, like talk about being 100% present in a moment and not being present at all, and it's the euphoria of the environment and the music. And when it all works and it hits like that, isn't that what we're all chasing in the end and why we go, year after year?
I think,
it
FOMO,
is
terrible FOMO. Maybe
I go to hang out with Tim.
Peer pressure.
But I mean, there are those moments where it's like, everything is right and just hold tight.
But very limited to this specific moment a lot of times, right? Like it's a good escape too, right? I don't know. I don't want to be like the nihilist, but like shit's been kind of fucked up. I think it's an understatement of the century. So like to be able to,
I think shit's always been fucked up, but that's another
well,
story.
yeah, no, for
that
sure.
part it definitely has been. But I also think the boys are kind of at a point where they're making different decisions about how they spend their time, how much they want to spend with their families.
Age
how
wants
much
to be home with the family.
yeah. I mean, I think all of that is really like valid, and it's things that you
Mike
should
loves his
confront.
cat.
You should confront that after such a trying moment in our collective history, and also in the history of them being together. They don't all have the same goals all the time anymore. They've built this amazing thing, and I think they're trying to shepherd it forward with care. I don't think that it's like, oh, they have a timeline, but I think it's like, okay, how do we scale back to a place that works for all four of us? How do we create music together still in a way that doesn't make any of us have to compromise what's important to us right now? And I think it's a communal respect they have for each other. And you can see that on stage. That's why I feel like they're so happy, because no one is like, well, I'm sacrificing so you can do XYZ. It's like, nah, we've decided this summer tour was going to work for us, and this is what's going to work for this year. We're going to go down to, Maya Riviera, because that's going to work for us too. I think it's about that give and take that they've had to, as adults, people come to an understanding amongst each other.
And Trey definitely, I think, wants to do all kinds of other projects. I can really see Trey touring with the strings,
Trey has so many things that I imagine going on in his head that, like,
he could play every night of the year and do something different.
100%.
All over the place, everywhere, and
with
have
everyone.
so much fun doing it, and everybody would be so excited.
He's got boxes of torches.
Everybody's made a big
you
deal.
get a torch, and you get a torch. Everybody gets a torch, y'all.
Nah, I
Everybody
don't know
gets a
about that
torch.
whole torch passing thing.
Everybody was questioning the sit-ins and like reading into it. It's just because this motherfucker can't stop playing.
He loves.
He just wants an excuse to be on stage.
And you know what? Anybody. He's bringing little kids up on stage to play.
Musicians that love his music. Why? If this is a normal behavior of somebody who has reached this stage in their career where they have talented, really successful musicians that look up to him, that actually worship him, and that are influenced by him. Why wouldn't you want to? I mean, it's kind of like a weird thing. It's
That's
like,
the master
why wouldn't
level.
Trey have wanted to sit in with Dead and Co? Of course he would want to do that. Like, hello.
You want somebody to look at you the way Peter was looking at Trey.
Listen, I was there for that show. I was there for that show, and the love was real. It was very intense. It was very intense. Yeah.
Oh, the Goose Show?
Yeah, the Radio City Music Hall show. Y'all want to hear that story real quick?
Yeah, hell
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure.
my husband and my niece was graduating from. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Shout out to Brooklyn, Flatbush forever. And my niece was graduating from high school. My last niece, my baby.
Aw.
And so of course we're heading to New York to go to the festivities. Literally off of a plane from Portland from a conference. I stay on the road, you guys. And we're sitting there on the plane, and my husband's sitting next to me, and the first shot of the gear gets posted. So it hadn't even gone viral yet. He just saw it. Like, he's like, look at this. It looks like Trey's gonna actually sit in with Goose tonight. And I said, well, are there tickets? And he looked at me and I said, we're heading to New York, babe. Right now. We're getting on this plane is gonna land in New York. So if there's tickets,
We're gonna be there.
we could go. So while we're sitting there, he goes on a seat, whatever, probably Seat Geek or Vivid or whatever it was, buys a pair of tickets, front row in the balcony, because I'm short, as I mentioned before.
Love that
And
man.
He hits, purchase. We're taxiing. This conversation happens while we're taxiing. We start to take off and it's circling, processing. It says purchase, and then all the internet goes down.
Oh no.
Okay.
Nice.
So we're up
Thank
in the
God.
air for 2 hours or so. We're just in Charlotte, so not far. We land. By the time we land, now it's
You
wild.
can't get a ticket,
like
right?
literally every ticket is gone. It's gone viral. Everybody's talking about it. And we're like, holy crap. We get to the little place we rented, literally throw some different clothes on, rush to the city, get to the venue, and we were like, okay, if it happens, it happens. I love Goose anyway, so it was going to be a great show. And he had never been to Radio City Music Hall, so that was going to be fun no matter what.
that's
Shout
awesome.
out to RJB, because I saw him in literally a line getting a drink. I was like, what are you doing here?
Nice.
He's like, no, what are you doing here? You don't even live here. So it was a complete lark, and for us it was fantastic. I mean, just to be there, to be in the room, to experience it was great. But it was that we were taxiing, deciding like, well, if there's tickets, just buy them. Let's go. Let's do it. So
So
That's
good that you
was a
didn't have
great choice.
hesitation, right? Because if
Yeah,
you guys
seriously.
hesitated or second guessed it, you would have missed it.
we
and
would
then
have
would've
missed
been
it. We would have
impossible.
missed it. I'm always about let's just go.
Just
If
go
the
with
worst case was we
Yeah.
see a great Goose show at Radio City. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
That's exactly
honestly,
right. The
boo-hoo.
venue is worth it.
That was
Yeah.
like when my wife and I were trying to decide if we wanted to go see Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. And she's like, I really love that album. And I was like, all right. I was like, it's not going to suck. I mean, let's just go, right?
Let's
Like,
go.
when is the night? Like Skinny said, you never know when you might
might
not
be
get
it,
the
right.
opportunity to
True.
see that artist or at that venue or, whatever might happen.
I kicked myself for not seeing Prince when I could have.
Yeah.
We saw one of Amy
I saw Purple
Winehouse's
Rain
last
tour.
shows here in the States, and it wasn't a great show, but we went, and we get to say, like, we did get to see her
You got
live.
the statistics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about your spreadsheets. That's right.
Yeah, right.
I want to see if I can make it up to Jones Beach now. All this talk, I'm like, shit, I can't miss tonight. I'll see you guys.
Well, that Queensboro Bridge is going to give you trouble.
Yeah.
Getting up there.
Can you helicopter in? Maybe that would work.
Yeah, yeah.
The
When
bridge
they
is
announced
over.
the tour, I was all like, yeah, I'm definitely going to make those Jones Beach shows because I'm not that far from New York. But in the reality of doing like a week after week.
But his
it's-
wife said,
See, it's usually my wife's like, so I was looking at tickets, and if we buy them now and we leave, we can get there by showtime. Yeah,
That's
she's-
mine. Yeah, my wife is like that too. I mean, when we first met, actually,
"You married good women."
Yeah, she.
Yeah,
I was
it
at
was
the
a
Man.
condition.
Yeah, 2016. I came back and I was like, "Wow, that's it. Those are the only shows I'm going to see for a little while." And she's like, "Well, where are they playing next?" And she was a fan for a long time. And I was like, "Well, they're playing in Hartford, but I mean that's still like a bear." Got tickets. Next thing you know, we're leaving at 5:00 in the morning, and that was that. And then
It's a 6-hour drive.
I need to be clear though, for the record. My wife is a enormous Phish fan, loves the band. She's just reasonable and not an asshole, and I am.
And you
And
got a kid. You got a little kid.
I know,
too.
and I 100% respect her when she says like, "Hey, don't be an idiot. Think it through." And I'm like, "Oh, you're right. The addiction was getting the better."
When
of
my
me."
kids were growing up, in 3.0, I only saw Merriweather shows except for in 2019 because I had 2 kids. I took them to a couple, but when Phish came to town and we're 20 minutes away, yes, I'm going to go to both nights.
sure.
But
Right.
the rest of the time, I'm going to softball, I'm going to ballet, I'm going to
Do you guys want to do
Uh,
another
we were
round
ca-
robin?
We were
Or-
calling grandma and saying,
Yeah.
Phish Store just got announced. Can you mark off these dates to come and watch
This
the
is
kids?"
exactly
you
why
for
I didn't
3
have
weeks.
any kids. This is precisely why I never had any kids.
What's the
I
round
do-
robin? What do you got?
Well, the next one I had is what makes a good show for you, because we are kind of in this position where we're hypercritical, right, by design, because we do podcasts or we talk about Phish.
Right.
But the definition I realized of what, last night was a good show, what does that mean, is very, very different for most people I talk to. And I'm just curious for each of you, what makes a Phish show good for you? Like, what are you looking for in a show? I'm gonna vamp here for a second until somebody feels like they have their thoughts
for
together.
for me, it's 2 answers. If I'm watching from home, it's all about the set list, how long the songs are, and the stats. In the moment,
I love how you
all of
just admit that shit. That's like, I'm sure there are a lot of people that feel that way, but would never admit it. You're like, I want long jams and stats. Damn it.
So, but when I'm in the moment there, like you all have been saying, they could eat beans and fart, and I'd be like, "This is so cool. This is just the greatest thing."
Well, if they
ever."
had a light
So-
show, maybe.
They had the CK5 was there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have two answers. I don't know if I have like an at-home answer. They would probably be the same. But for me, being at a show, I like when, and Leslie mentioned this earlier, when the band is having fun, the music is really good. And when you can see the interaction, you see Trey turning around and signaling to Phish. And then so for me, then it's less so about what they're playing, but if they are segging well from one to the next and they're kind of combining ideas through a jam, I really get on board with that. I'm also a big fan of when they tease something that they might be playing a little bit earlier or that they have already played, and they kind of come back around and throw that in there. The other night they were kind of teasing a little bit of the cross-eyed notes, and they always do the still waiting whenever a cross-eyed pops into a set list, but they were actually kind of going a little bit back into the jam from cross-eyed. So I like like in the Set Your Soul Free. So I like things like that. But for me, it's connective tissue. Is the set cohesive from the beginning to the end? And it can be first set can have it and second set can have it, and they might not be together as a first and a second
that
set.
was this tour.
I think
by
that
the way, it's
yeah.
one set shows. They've only nailed one set, and then there was always a weak set. It felt like,
yeah. So for me, it's that connective tissue, and I don't really. I've seen a lot of shows, so I'm not specifically chasing. The things I'm chasing are like the covers or like the super one-offs. So and like Skinny said, I don't try to go in. That was one of the reasons why we stopped playing the set book game. I write the set down for every show that I go to. It's kind of an old habit that I haven't let go of yet. And we used to write the sets
With a pen and paper.
Oh yeah, I carry a little.
Not even on your phone. Wow.
Now the
I
old school. Yeah.
Look at that. There
Yes.
you go, Tim.
I'm
That's
impressed. Wow.
So I use a moleskin, whatever. But anyway, we used to write down our picks in the back of the, we used to write down our picks in the back of the book, and and I got so hung up on, oh man, are they going to play my songs? Oh, they played two of Skinny's songs, but none of mine. And I actually started
Got
to care.
competitive.
Yeah, I started to care less about like being at a show and more like I have to know more about Phish than my friends, and and I never won anything.
Flipped into addiction there.
It did. It totally became that, and so we stopped doing that.
You turned it into Vegas. That's interesting.
So now I still keep the set, but I do some picks, but it's
not like it was.
I always
it's not like it was.
Of stuff I don't want to hear, hoping they'll play it.
That's pretty funny.
That's actually that's a good way to go. For me, I mean, I'm all about the vibe. So for me, it's always about the give and take between the audience and the band. So if the vibes are good, it's a great show to me. I love dancey shows, so I'm always into like a lot of up tempo, a lot of body movement where I'm really feeling it and everybody else is, those shows where you're just high-fiving a ton, although we're not doing that a lot these days. But that if I was going to define what I consider a good show, it's like a maximum high-fiveable shows are the ones that I love. When I was at Charleston, it reminds me, there was a guy behind me who suddenly pulled out this long stuffed caterpillar from one of the bags he had and proceeded
one of the bags he had
and proceeded to just dance with this caterpillar for like the whole show. And it's
Riding
like
the worm.
I took a bunch of like selfies and some videos with him and stuff, and then I just like put my phone away and then just started like dancing as well. But that's the vibe. The caterpillar dude, when he's feeling good, that's when I think
it is cool when the audience is more of a show than the band.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's all of that. I love all of that.
When the crowd turns into a huge dance party like that,
that's when I'm like really.
Then it doesn't even matter what song.
Literally doesn't matter. We're all in it. Like everything's rocking. It was one of the great things about the MSG run, like because Madison Square Garden moves, like physically moves, and we had four different seats around the arena. But the first night we were behind the boys, which I hadn't sat there before. The sound is great, but you can see so much of their interactions, and it was so beautiful to watch. Like as we're all, and I'm like, oh my god, he's signaling Fishman right now. Okay, now him and Mike are having a little thing. Like all of those little things, those are all. That's a special sauce to me.
It adds so much to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a different perspective.
Yeah. What about you, Skinny?
I'm gonna go kind of in piggyback on what Leslie just said, which I like it when it gets dark and the dancing gets like super intense and weird. I mean, that's me. I don't know about everybody else around me, but so I'll just harken back to my second show ever. They played this like really intense, amazing back alley, like thought I was gonna like get robbed, sand that was just so nasty and so dirty. And I'll just never forget being like on Mike's side on the lawn and it was like, man, these guys, I'm back. Like, I'm going to go see these guys as much as I can. We talk about it all the time on the show. Like when Jerry died in 95, I mean, I saw like a concert here and there or, something like that at, in Baltimore or a club and like local live music, but nothing like that. And I hadn't seen anything like that in 5 years. And all of a sudden it just like clicked. And so I think for me, it was just like when they hit a pocket like that, it doesn't have to necessarily be dark, but like I was talking about in the beginning of the show, the Split Open and Melt, just have my jaws dropping from the man. When they get into a pocket like that and they start to smoke, I am 100%. Every molecule in my body is all about what's happening on that stage. Nothing around me, nothing.
When it sounds like it's falling apart as it goes along, I'm like, this is my life. This is where I belong.
Yeah, and I don't like. It's funny that we just to circle back to kind of like the complaints. Like I don't think about any of that stuff when I'm there, even if I'm not hitting that pocket. You know what I mean?
When I'm watching at home, I'm like taking notes.
Yeah. Well, at home,
but only about the lyrics, nothing.
But
Tom don't recognize me. I hate these lyrics.
So that pocket, another one I'll talk about real briefly is the one from 2000 in Hershey, the tube. So Josh,
I love that tube.
Oh my god, that tube is just like. It's 20 minutes long. Like, please.
That's
Fish.
A great show. That Windora Bug.
Oh yeah, Windora Bug is a huge thing. Like I've seen people like, please play that. I think
it was Merriweather and Hershey back-to-back nights.
Yeah, and I just want that. And like, if it was like that every time, I mean, I probably would quit my job.
And just real quick, just in case anybody was wondering, the sand that he's talking about there was June 29th, 2000 at the PNC Bank Arts Center in Homedale, New Jersey. My original hometown venue back when it was called the Garden State.
I grew up in Point Pleasant, so that was my hometown too venue.
You grew up in Point Pleasant?
Yeah, I hated it. I mean, I love Point Pleasant, but I hated the Garden.
That lawn is terrible.
I had a cop tackle and nitrous dealer on my brand new car, and Tripp and I went to the police station to file a report to get him to fix my car, and the cop laughed at me.
Tim,
You're
did you?
lucky
Tim,
as shit that's all that happened.
Tim,
Yeah.
did you go to Reggae Sunsplash up there ever?
No.
Oh.
We'll talk.
We might have to talk
not
the next time we see each other. Sorry, I don't want to derail here, but
No,
maybe
derail,
we got a
please.
couple of Jersey stories to talk about. Oh, I didn't know you were from New Jersey. I'm from Monmouth County, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean Ocean County for me, but I'm right on the
Yeah,
Monmouth County. I always
yeah.
thought of Point Pleasant as a Monmouth. All right, this is way
Yeah.
too
Yeah,
focused.
no, yeah.
We're not talking about what exit you guys.
No,
live
it's funny
off
though,
of.
because these assholes, not you guys, but like Kevin and the other guys, they mute my Jersey. Right? If you spend too much time with people out of Jersey, you get
Wow.
muted because you have to like
fly, bro.
hold it back, and then you're in a room with somebody, you're like, oh, here it is again. It's like riding a bike.
Yeah, the pork roll and the tomato and all that bullshit. Yeah.
So I want to contribute to the conversation too, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
What lately has been making a good show for me is a combination, like an algorithm between taking chances and risks in their like type 2 exploration and executing ideas and landing on it, because you can't really have one without the other. Like they have sometimes where they execute really well, but they play it super safe, right? So it's either very type 1 jams or very similar themes that they've done 100 times before, or they'll take crazy risks and they'll miss a bunch of times and have to ripcord. But when those two components lock in together and they're trying something that they haven't done and it locks in, that's where I think it's like, for me, holy shit, this was a really special night, because it's not super common.
We actually just, the episode that we released today, we talked about a show that had that really exceptionally played but safe set list from November 2nd, 2013. It was the third night of the Atlantic City run, the wingsuit Halloween. And you know what? I think that's an important thing to understand about Phish is sometimes they will come out and they will play everything that they play will be flawless. It'll sound great. They'll have some, 7-8 minute jams. They'll do some micro jams. They'll do maybe a couple of big jams, one in the first, maybe one or two in the second, and maybe a fun encore. And that's your show. And their floor is still very good,
Incredible, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, where are you on the 4.0 phenomenon of finishing songs? Because oftentimes it seems like it's a train wreck.
Yeah.
No, I love it though from a spun out Wook perspective, because more than one occasion, more than one occasion in the back of my mind, I'm like, what am I in? I don't remember what we're in. And then he's like starts doing the guitar riff, and it's always the same transition back. The rest of the band's out there just grooving, and then Trey's like, I'm just gonna keep playing it until they join me.
Fuck it, they aren't joining me. I'm going back.
We're Ghost. I forgot, and so I like it when it's well executed, I guess.
Which
I
think is debatable how well it's being executed right now.
I was gonna say it seems like a thing that they've concertedly decided to do is kind of come back and bring this in. And for me, it's just it's fantastic to see them still trying new shit, because honestly, any acts that have been touring as long as they have, I'm going to go see the Red Hot Chili Peppers in September. I could probably write their fucking set list right now.
You could. Yeah,
it's going to be the same show.
Same show.
Under the Bridge Encore. Under the Bridge Encore.
Under the Bridge Encore. 2 songs from their new album. I mean, I could write it all right now for you, right? And it's great. I'm going to have a great time at the show. It's going to be fantastic. This isn't a diss or even a knock. It just is different.
You know what you're getting.
Yeah, I know what I'm getting. And that's the beauty of Phish. It's what keeps us all coming back, is that they're still experimenting, just like we as fans get to experience them experimenting. And so I'm always like, oh, that didn't work. Cool. Maybe they'll keep doing it. Maybe they won't keep doing it. But it's great that they're still trying to be creative, still trying to do things differently or try new things. I'm just like, look, we don't all, they don't always make it into the basket. It's okay though. It's okay.
I wish Trey would let the groove go longer. When he starts to pick back up on the ending of the song, give it another 18 bars and let the rest, and then just all of a sudden they're playing it, like playing in the band with the Dead. All of a sudden they'd be playing the end of Playing in the Band. And you'd be like, how did that happen?
I
Yeah,
think
but
he gets a little
sometimes-
bit of ADD, or he gets
Yeah, you
bored,
can't
or
get
another
there.
idea.
Don't tell
pops-
Trey what to fucking do.
I know. Dude.
That's what we're
Yeah,
telling
come
you.
on,
I'm
dude.
biting my tongue, but
I mean, we
Hey,
say this all the
18 more
time.
bars, please.
Right, we say this all the time on our show. We are not musicians, and the best part about that is like
I knew
when
nothing.
I know, right? And when they do that kind of stuff, if I don't get it, or like it seems meandering, or they rip chord, or they go into something and was totally unexpected, I just usually laugh. I'm like, oh, what was that? Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of just like I don't understand it, so it makes me laugh because I'm just like, well, I have to find some humor into it. I'm not going to sit here. I mean, who stands in a show and is like, you know what? That's absolutely ridiculous what just happened there. You know, if they would have done this or that, like, yeah, like, so I can't live that way only because, like, if I sit there and think about that stuff, I'm just gonna drive myself crazy, man.
It's also
Well,
proof
you know
it's
what?
still improvisational
I think-
music that they're doing. Like,
Right.
right?
The
This
other
is-
thing is that if they sorry to cut you off, Leslie, but if they were going to play the show that everybody envisions, right, which is like, a classics first set with, a couple of rarities thrown in and some fun jams, and then a 5-song second set with a Harry Hood, You Enjoy Myself, 2001, and a Slave to the Traffic Light, and that was what they were going to deliver because that's everybody wants, then all of a sudden Phish is now the Red Hot Chili Peppers,
literally.
to Leslie's point. And
I hope they cover that at MVP.
and so I think, be careful what you wish for, because if you really want Phish to come out and give you this very same show night in and night out that is your prototypical peak Phish show for you as an individual, well, guess what? It's like eating ice cream every night. Eventually, it just ain't that exciting. And that's one of the things that Phish does. And you might not like what they played at Hartford, but they jammed some of that shit out. And the end of the show, yeah, maybe it was a little bit lackluster. And
they number lined a farmhouse. Like that's like
I
what
chose
happens in a porta potty. It's like shit on top of shit on top of shit.
Like Coventry. Like,
Oh, wow.
Who are we to judge the choices that the band makes? I mean, maybe Trey caught eyes with Tom Marshall at the end of Farmhouse and was like,
I had a moment.
number line, Tom Marshall.
It's somebody's birthday, Tom.
It's somebody's birthday out there, and boom, then
Well,
it
I
troll.
paid-
I don't know where the zero came from.
I paid my
but
$50 to be like, poo-poo, why'd you do that?
Oh, you earned your right because you paid the $50.
you earned your right.
This goes full circle back to Leslie bringing up complainers. Well, it turns out we figured it out. It's this guy. I actually think Trey does it just to troll us, by the way. I don't even think
yeah,
definitely
I think Trey's a big troll. Yeah, for sure. He's also clearly like, I think he's on the message boards. He has aliases out here. I feel like he's listening.
He probably follows you and you don't even know.
I hope not. Trey, don't follow me. If you listen to this, please don't follow me. Yeah, I do. I think, he's much more in the know than that I do think a lot of it is trolling, and I love it. I absolutely love it. He should be trolling.
I absolutely love.
I
it.
saw
I
it
think it's
again. Was the
hilarious.
first? I saw it again. Was the first repeat? Good for you.
Well, what was it, Skinny Merriweather was it 2014 that they did the I Saw It Again? And
no, that was like 2010. I
The
think.
Jumpin' Jack Flash. Yeah, the Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Yeah,
night.
that was like 2010, and they jumped back and forth with the Saw It Again. Like,
and it
not
was
to be a complainer, but that's not one of my favorites.
But it was
I
a
love that.
complete
That's what- I
troll
love
because
that
they had played Unique I Saw It Again in 2009 or something.
Right.
Like,
They
that
were
was
big
it.
There was a
fans.
dude with a sign that night in the pit,
Okay.
and I saw it again. Sign. I think that's what the
Okay.
impetus. But that Jumpin'
I
Jack
was on the
Flash
lawn.
is one of the most organic things I've ever heard him do. They ended up playing Jumpin' Jack Flash. I don't think anybody had a thought of it beforehand.
No, I mean, that was a total rarity. I mean, that was really cool to see that, actually. I think they played a fire encore too, right?
Yes, they did a fire
yep.
encore.
We are
Yeah.
all over the place. I love it.
Totally.
I hope you guys don't mind. We do these shows backwards. So now that we're a good hour 10 minutes, I want to take a minute for some housekeeping items. Tonight, after the encore, 15 minutes, come back here to Wook Plus. We'll have an after show. We have Pixel Wooks and Andy back.
Andy Michaels from
Andy
Jump
Michaels
Radio.
from Jump Radio. Kev will be hosting. I'll be there too, probably if I don't fall asleep. We've been doing this every show, so go back. Like and subscribe. If you're not on YouTube, if you're watching us on Twitter or Facebook, go ahead. That's all right. You can keep interrupting. We're not even having a debate. I'm literally just doing a read. What was the interruption for? God damn.
I wanted to mention our friends at HF Pod who we've partnered
okay.
with.
Yes. Let's skip a chapter or a paragraph. 1 o'clock the next day. HF Pod also does recaps. Now let me go back because
Yes.
like, subscribe. Go check us out on YouTube. That's where all of our content is. So is there anything else, Kev?
Yeah,
I completely lost my mojo.
Right, next week on the lot, we have Kevin Legal from Space Bacon joining us, and then the week after that, we have some of the guys from Eggy. So
there
there'll
has
be two
to be
interesting
like sausage
combos.
patty or orange juice or some other
Something.
to complete the breakfast. We're gonna have bacon, eggy, and it's
We
gonna
need
be
a
fun.
hash brown. We definitely need
Gotta
a
get
hash brown.
bagel muffins or something.
Apple juice. Nobody drinks apple juice.
Tim, you're from Jersey. There's got to be a band in New Jersey called, the Sesame Bagels or something.
Yeah, or like SPK or something.
Pork roll.
Pork roll. Oh gosh.
And so, all right, so let's do housekeeping for everyone. Leslie, what do you have in?
Oh,
in
wait.
your pocket? Oh.
Okay. No, let me just
No,
one
go.
last thing for the
Finish this up,
housekeeping.
Okay.
So officially, the whole Wook crew will be only at Dick's as the last big event. We'll be there every night, every day, having a lot party. So look for the Big W Plus flags. We'll have food and drinks and music, and we're not going to broadcast. We decided just to hang out and Wook out.
But you may hear us. You may be able to hear us.
We will also be on Osiris, but we will also be, Kevin and I will be down in Merriweather and AC. So come check that out and find us on lot and bug Kev. He loves it when people recognize him. It's literally his like number one get off.
It was me at the man. I was like, oh shit, there's Kevin.
There's that guy.
It's my least favorite thing, you guys. Oh my gosh.
Nobody recognizes us yet.
Yeah, nobody knows.
recognizes
We're
me. I
good.
hate
We're
it.
safe.
We were
Can't
walking
figure
around
it
the
out.
man and like somebody come up and be like, hey, you guys have the YouTube show. And I'd be like, oh yeah, like grateful, but like not think twice about it. This motherfucker would be gleaming the whole like
I went and saw Billy
scenester.
Strings. I went and saw Billy Strings. This guy turned around and he goes, "You were?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm on that show." And he goes, "I love Wook Plus, man. You guys are the best." He goes, "Am I going to have fun tonight?" And I was like, "You're going to have a great time tonight,
Aw,
man. It's
I
gonna
love
fucking
it.
rock."
You know
We're
what's
even
funny?
telling people if they're having fun now, man.
Tim, right? Tim, I met you at fan art in New York, and you were like, yeah, and then I was like, oh, I'm skinny, or I'm stubby down, and then you were like, oh, okay, like you know what I mean? But at first you're like, yeah, cool.
the podcasts are hard because like the benefit that we have with being like full blown on YouTube is like our mugs are
People
I have
do
the face for
recognize
radio,
you,
but we
right.
decide to put it on a camera every time. Like I've listened to your guys' podcast quite often actually, but I didn't recognize you by face, so.
Right. Well, I had to say that, and then you were like, oh yeah, okay, hey, yeah.
That was wild, by the way, that fan art show. Actually, that's one of the reasons I decided not to broadcast live anymore on
I
site.
hung out at the bar. There was a bar in the bottom of the Stewart, and
Yeah.
there were so many people in the corner we were in. It was like 3x3. I was like, I'm going to go to the bar.
Yeah, there's so many people in that little space. So it was
Yeah.
Well, when we showed up, we were like, "Where's our spot?" And people were like, "Oh, see that dot over there? That's you."
You're in the corner. Apparently, everybody put Wook in the corner. It's okay.
But thank you to Pete. Pete is a friend of the channel. We
Yes,
love
we love
Pete and
Pete.
fan art. He's doing it in AC, I think.
Yeah, and he's doing Red Rocks for Goose.
Red Rocks for
nice.
Goose. So if you're
Dick's.
in those venues, check him out.
Oh, I'm going
Support
to
his
see
people.
Goose at Red Rocks. Yeah, I'm going. out
Oh,
there.
awesome.
Yeah.
So you
That's
more
fun.
on the Goose train right now, you think? I'm not judging, by
You're
the way.
trying
I
to get
totally
me in
get
trouble.
it.
You see, you're trying to get me in trouble. You're trying to get me in trouble. I will say I will be seeing Goose a bit but I'm in Charlotte. They're doing a lot of Southern shows. So it's been easy to see them. They're coming to Charleston and I mean Denver is definitely not. I just any excuse I can get to go to Denver, I go.
But Red Rocks is Red Rocks, yeah.
And
you
Red Rocks
gotta-
is Red Rocks, and if you're and it's their first time playing there, so I felt like maybe we should go just to say
We had an internal thing. Llama was like, when is the first time Goose will play Red Rocks? And we're all like, years from now. Boom.
Nope, right
He
now.
knew. He knew.
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, am I more? I wouldn't say more. I mean, we just did the 2 shows in Charleston. So, this tour has been a little tricky because I have lamentably with this election coming up, my work is intense. And I don't work in July. I take the whole month of July off. God bless me. And so,
It's smart.
it just happens that a lot of these Goose shows are weekend shows that I'm able to like pop back home for. And the Phish shows are not. So I think they're playing Rally
On
Phish
Friday.
Friday.
It's not that far of a drive.
We may go. I'm not kidding. Friday morning, it
and
may
then you
be
can
like
call
let's
into
go.
the show
Let's
afterwards and
go.
give us a live report.
So I'll let you know what happens. It might happen. So I wouldn't say yes or that I'm more into one or the other. It just happened how the schedule has laid out this particular time. I'm still holding out. I really want to see one of Trey's acoustic shows, which is literally the weekend that
right.
They just announced these weekend shows, and that's when I'm going to see Goose at Red Rocks. So I can't go to those. I'm crossing my fingers that he'll have some more dates. I think he will. I don't know. It's my speculation.
I think that's something that'll continue.
I think that there'll be more
He
shows
loves
to go.
that.
He
loves
seems to
sitting
really
there.
enjoy it. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get to sneak into one of those, and then we'll see what they decide to do next year. You know.
Yeah,
This is on them. I would be going to Halloween shows. I'd be going to a New Year's run. I didn't make those decisions.
Is
The band did, right?
Blackberry coming back?
I can't talk about that.
Okay.
Aw,
I'm
Oh.
sorry. I'm so
No,
sorry.
I have to ask. I'm a hard-hitting reporter.
You
Yes.
should have asked that question before the show,
Beforehand?
Kev. Oh,
I'm
man.
not allowed. I'm not allowed to talk about
I
it. But
hear you.
soon
Oh.
you'll hear something soon. How about that? Is that fair? That's fair.
That's
That's
fair.
fair. That's all we ask. So we'll make a left turn. Who you got next time on Stub Me Down?
Go ahead, Josh. I mean, it's just us at the end of the season is then it's coming up. We just recorded.
Oh, it's your
Yeah,
finale. Nice.
Yeah, so we just released episode 8 today. Other guests that we've had on our first episode this season, we had Jake Jolivet, who most people know as Jake Jolly on Twitter. He's the Fox Sports producer.
He doesn't realize people criticize Phish.
Right. He does
Yes,
not,
he
but
doesn't realize
he,
that.
and you know what? He actually teased us a little bit because I told him that Character Zero was my least favorite song. So now he's going to, if he ever gets a Commanders game, who is unfortunately my football team, he is going to taunt me by
Request.
playing that. So we had it, but he was a really cool guy. I mean, super nice. He stubbed us down on a show from the LA Forum last year, October 24th. So that was a lot of fun. We had Ed Lucas on from Below Deck. He stubbed us down on his first show when he was just a little kid, and he saw 12/30/96 at the Boston Garden.
Oh,
So that was
nice.
pretty cool. And who else, Skinny? Oh, Peter Connors. We had author Peter Connors, who has written a bunch of books, but the book that we talked to him about was a fiction book, a murder mystery that incorporated like a small club New England jam band. So it was interesting to talk to. The last couple episodes are just me and Skinny. The one that came out today was, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, a show that we did around November 2nd, 2013. And so we got 2 episodes left, and we got a couple of things on tap for next year or for next season, some new guests. And
Seasons are so much better than years.
it is.
Yeah,
It
they are.
is. It
I
allows
like
us to
these.
stretch us
Yeah.
out. You know, we're both teachers. We do this in our spare time, and you know, we both got
And
kids.
bless you
and-
both for being teachers.
Yes. Shout out to all the
Thank
teachers.
Because you end up with
Working
parents
teachers.
like me. And you fucking hate life.
Oh, Jesus.
I've had worse, bro. Believe me. But we do have like special episodes, which we'll do in between the seasons, and we have actually it's funny, Leslie Mack. We're gonna go see Goose, my wife and I, at the Chrysalis, which is like a little.
Oh, I'll be there.
Yeah,
at
you're going
Merriweather.
okay, cool. I hope to run into you. We didn't have a chance to get married, except we did get married down in North Carolina during the pandemic, but we had this whole celebration in Baltimore. And so we're doing that. And then the next day I have like a softball tournament, and then we're going to see Goose. It's like a packed weekend. I don't know if I'm going to
Are you playing or is it
hungover or drunk?
Are you playing softball or is it your daughter? Or
no, I play still. I know it's not. I'm getting.
My daughter
up there.
played for years. I know so much about softball.
Well, I
can
play at
start a
like
podcast.
Swan Park, bro. Like again, we're derailing here. I play like in downtown Baltimore, and it's like I was
Welcome
gonna
to
write
Wook
a,
Plus.
yeah, I was gonna write a
What we
book
do
about
best.
it. It was going to be called Sliding into Needles, but I haven't written that yet.
My stepfather used to play for Yale Heights down in Irvington. He played
Okay.
softball with them.
My old man's from Brooklyn, Baltimore, so yeah, we have a lot of.
Is that going to be your first Goose show, or have you seen
that?
it before?
Will be my first Goose show, which
Ooh,
means
exciting.
yeah, a little bit of a tease to those special episodes as we have Goose's favorite fan and big supporter Ryan Storm. We're gonna
Young
connect with
Ryan.
him.
Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna talk
We
about
love
Goose
young
show.
Ryan.
So he's
gonna come in and stub us down on a Goose show.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah.
Very cool.
Good time.
You'll have a good time.
I've seen Goose a couple times, and you know they've got
I
that.
saw him once.
They've got that formula. You know, they can put together a nice jam that slowly builds to a peak. They've got a great light show. It's real high energy. They have a little bit of a reggae feel. They do like the last time I saw them, they like covered Nights in White Satin.
Yeah.
Like, I
And
mean,
it's
like,
rough.
and it was, it was fun, and it was. I'm not crazy
I
about the
saw them.
vocals.
Right.
The guy kind of sounds a little bit like the dude from, you might remember, Tea Leaf Green. A little bit of that vocals, but they really jam. And I mean, I started listening to Phish, and I was like, who is this guy singing? Like, he can't hold a tune to save his life. And now look at me. So, I can get over.
The one thing
He
I
has
haven't
100%,
seen-
no doubt.
The one thing I've seen people talking about a lot is how they can bring their wives and girlfriends to Goose shows when they refuse to go see Phish, which is really interesting to me.
My wife is not on the Goose train.
She doesn't have to be. I'm just noting that, and I will say, I having been to quite a few Goose shows now, it's definitely it's a lot of couples, way more than you'll see at Phish shows. It's really interesting. I mean, obviously, a lot of their songs are love songs. A lot of their songs are about those types of things, so it's not that surprising. And Rick's pretty easy on the eyes, doesn't hurt, right? Doesn't hurt, but it's interesting to see. For me, it's been putting in my head like what is it about that makes that scene more
Couple friendly.
Yeah, more couple friendly than the Phish scene. So I've been mulling
Phish
that over in my
started
head
off as
for a
a
little while.
brew scene. Phish was it was a sausage party back in the day.
I think it's just a younger crowd too.
Yeah.
And
I don't know though. I don't think the crowd is that much younger.
The one time I saw Goose, I had the time of my fucking life at the 930 Club. It was fucking Fat
I saw him at the
Tuesday.
930 Club, and it was packed, and I felt like a fucking dinosaur.
Oh, I loved it. See, that's a bar thing. I don't know about seeing them at the Chrysalis, but I tell you what, I've never thrown on a Goose show and listened to it at home. But being there, they were the best band on the planet at that moment.
Yeah.
They
That Buffalo
fucking nailed it.
2016 Arcadia show was the only Goose show I've
Repeated. You've gone back to.
I kind of like how their fans, like the guys that have the mustaches but don't have the beards, and how easy it is to spot the difference between like the old heads and the Goose fans.
It's true. It's true.
It's like super obvious.
Yeah.
I just hear 70s porn music when I see those guys.
I think one thing about the
I don't
Goose
hear
fans, I think one thing about the Goose fans is they really want people to like Goose.
Yeah. They do.
Oh,
They're
unlike Phish fans, let me tell you about my favorite drug
No,
band.
I don't
feel
get
like
the
No,
Phish
but
about
Phish
anybody.
fans,
Let me tell
I
you,
do
don't
not
like
try
Phish.
to convince anybody to like Phish.
Right. If I have
I
this
do-
shirt on
Not
and someone
anymore,
says,
but-
"Oh, are you a Phish fan?" I say, "Yeah," but I don't go, "Dude, have you heard the last Phish show, man? Oh my god!"
But
Yeah, I'm not
Phish
like,
fans
"Oh, dude,
were
you
like
really
that for
gotta-"
a long ass time. I know because I
Some
was
were,
recruited
yeah.
by one, and most of you probably
Pre-hiatus,
were
I think
too.
that definitely was true. Pre-hiatus, I think post-hiatus, we've been kind of like, okay, let's keep our shit together and just like, let's slow it down a little bit. Like, calm down, guys, calm down, everybody.
We all got out of hand there. It was a little
Don't
crazy.
enough.
Shit went down. Everybody just lock it up.
Just lock it down. Keep it
Breathe.
together.
We got
everyone.
this.
Keep it together.
I say about
We're like
Goose-
the elder statesmen.
Yeah.
We're the elder states people now.
I'll say
State
this
work.
about Goose. I because I'm prepping, I have to get into it and listen to it in order to be able to at least comment on it. And there's from this show in DC from the 930 Club, this All I Need Arrow. It's like almost an hour long jam, and I cannot get out of it. I feel like I am trapped in this jam.
I made friends.
Really, really good.
I made friends with the bartender. She was feeding me shots of tequila.
Smart lady.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
it was the time, and I was right in front of the speaker. It was one of those I'm going to be deaf tomorrow night.
I think
Nice.
it's been for me. I've been trying to see them as much as possible right now because I think this is a cuspy
Boom.
time for them. So you can see them at Red Rocks and you can see them at a tiny club within weeks of one another. And so for me, it's been like, okay, I wanna just experience their
I
first
wonder if
Radio
the
City
clubs
Music
are
Hall. Their
gone now.
first.
Like the next tours, there won't be.
stop
They
clubs
won't be
anymore,
doing those
right?
Yeah,
small
no.
venues anymore. So I've
They'll
been
be
trying.
playing the anthem. I think,
Yeah,
the next
exactly.
time
So
they
that's
come to
why I've been
DC.
trying to kind of like, okay, let me just go see them as much as I can while they're in this cuspy place of before they really blow up. I think they're going to have some radio hits, which I think is going to really not necessarily differentiate them, but I think
It's the radio.
It's going to have a touch
Yeah,
of
that
gray
thing.
effect, or it'll
It
have a
is.
Spin Doctors
It's
effect.
going to be one or the other. I just that's my thought. I think there's going to be a single that is going to actually catch on.
If it's a Spin Doctors thing, you're.
I hope it's
stuck.
not a spin. Well, they don't have Spin Doctors music, so I don't think it's going to be that. I think it'll be interesting to see. That's just my
They'll
prediction.
do
My
really
prediction
well.
is
What
that they're going
song,
to have
Leslie? What song do you think will be the radio hit?
some. Oof.
Dripfield.
Dripfield for sure. Yeah. I just see it for them, and I think it's going to be an interesting. We haven't seen a like rock band really take off like we've been watching Goose take off, and so I've just been trying to see them as much. It's not that I like them more or anything. It's just I recognize a moment in a band's history, and I'm like,
Yeah.
let me just
In 5
get
years,
in
it'll be
here
a
as much as I
completely
can,
right.
because in 5 years they may not even be here. Like Humphreys, like left. I mean, not that they're not here, but you know what I'm talking about. We've
Yeah.
seen all of these bands, Leftover Salmon, and all of the other ones that have come through, and so I've just been
String
like, okay,
cheese.
I
string
feel like that's
cheese.
been a little bit of a theme here on the lot. Is go see shit while you can and be grateful that you can
Yes.
see it.
Because in
Oh,
3 years, it'll all be
man,
over.
You
Right.
never know. Go
You
see
never
him
know.
now.
3
Yeah,
more
get it.
years.
Don't wait.
Before we all have monkey
Go.
You know, You Never Know was actually one of the songs on that they played on the Wingsuit set in 2013 on Halloween, and it was about somebody stealing the band's money.
I was there for that
Oh,
show
you
too.
never
Was it
know.
at the second 8x10 show?
No, this was
No.
Atlantic
Halloween.
City.
This was Atlantic
No,
City.
I'm saying what
Boardwalk
was
Hall.
the original story. 'Cause
Oh,
I've
I
heard-
don't know. I don't
I've
know.
heard
I
that
can't
they didn't-
remember who the guy was.
They didn't play Baltimore for years, and the story always was the guy who owned the 8x10 didn't pay him the second
Oh.
time. they
I'm not
played.
surprised because that guy was a
That
dick.
guy was a dick.
He was a total dick. I've been in that club so many times I can't even begin to tell you. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I mean, I lived right down the street from it, so
How about
but
Taper's
he always
choice?
had a problem.
But you're right. That's the theme here. Listen, y'all.
Yeah.
Just look at your partner, look at your friends, and say, do they have tickets? And if it's yes, buy them and
Right,
go
right,
see some
right.
fucking
Go see some
shows.
shows.
Go see some
Amen,
shows.
Leslie.
Yes, go see
Amen.
So Tim, I want to go get ready for the show. before
Yeah.
the stream starts.
All right. Do you want to say anything else?
No,
or
I
are we
was
good?
I was just letting you know that it's getting close.
smooth.
But I'm
man.
getting anxious. I want to go into the show.
I just want to tell you that was a very smooth way to end the show. And I
no.
appreciate having you guys on. I'm
Hey,
so
thank
happy.
you guys.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
thanks for having
You
us.
guys
For
are great.
fun.
Yeah, man, it was great. So much
We'll
fun.
see you guys after the show on the after show
Bye,
next week on the
everyone.
lot.
Good
Thanks,
show,
everybody.
See you in Merriweather.
Have fun.
Later, everybody.
Bye.
Later.